Hey guys, this is Mr. G, and today we're going to be working with Photoshop. And what we're making today is a pen tool pumpkin. Now, the first thing I want you to do is start a new file in Photoshop with the dimensions of 600 pixels by 600 pixels. Make sure you use pixels and not inches. With a resolution of 300, RGB color mode, and everything else here, well, you don't need to worry about. Okay, so I'm going to push OK, and you're going to see that you're going to have a nice square canvas here. And what I'm going to do is Control 0 to kind of zoom it in and make it full size. All right, so if you look here in the layers, we never work on our background, as you know. So what we're going to do is create a new layer. There's our new layer. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go straight to the pen tool. Now, the pen tool, if you have any experience with it, is a really, really good tool. And it's really easy to select stuff, and it's easy to create stuff, but you've got to get used to the tool first. Now let's talk about the menu ribbon up here. Up here, we've got different modes. We've got shape layers, we've got paths, and then we've got all these other shapes that we could make too that are kind of pre-made. Now, what we're going to do today, we're going to be working in shape layers. And we're going to be using just the regular pen tool, not the freeform. So make sure that you've got these two options checked off. And what you're going to do now is you're going to click. You just click once, and you can see that right here it dropped a nice little anchor. And that anchor is kind of what's the beginning of our pumpkin. Now, in the past, I've already taught you that if you just click somewhere and just keep clicking, just like the polygon lasso, it'll keep making straight lines until you get all the way back to where you started. Right there, you see that little circle that pops up when you click. That means you've closed the shape, and all the anchors go away because it means, oh, I've told it that I'm done. And from there, of course, if you look down in the layers, you can see that you've got a layer mask with a color picker kind of deal. Now I'm going to double click in the color picker, and what pops up is this right here. And I can pick a color, move it over so you can see, and I can change the color to anything I want. Now that I've done that, let's talk about what I can do to change this. If I don't like it, maybe I want this to go, this little elbow right here to go a little bit further in. What I do is I go 2 tools down from the pen tool, and I choose the direct selection tool. Now, if I click back on it and I make sure that I'm still in that same layer and it's blue because it's highlighted and it means it's active, I click right where that anchor goes, and not only it lights up, but all the anchors light up because this direct selection tool is for editing anchors. And now I can move it around and do anything I want with it just to kind of make it my own. So even if I totally botched this up, I can go back and I can fix it and make it look better. I can move these any way I want. And let's say this looks a little too square. I can do something like this and make it look pretty much personalized. Okay, so once I'm done, I go back to my regular move tool and click outside of it, and it goes away. All right, so having done that, now I'm going to go over stuff that isn't so straight. And what I'm talking about is curves. All right, so if I click once again, I can drop my anchor. I click again, but this time instead of letting go of the mouse, I go ahead and gently pull on it, and it creates these things called, well, they're called drag bars. The correct name for them are Bezier handles or Bezier handles. I just call them drag bars, and it helps me create a little bit of an arch here, and the length of this bar right here, which is going in the direction that I'm going, which is counterclockwise. It dictates that there's going to be, if I put another anchor here, you see how it kind of curves before it goes to it. It doesn't go just straight to it. The reason it curved was because this angle right here was already set. I pulled it out. Now I'm going to keep going all the way around. and I'm going to create the shape of my pumpkin. And I'm not going to go too far out of the way. I'm just going to kind of finish it up right here. Now I've got kind of a lumpy pumpkin, but whatever. You know, they can't all be perfect. But I'm going to go back to my direct selection tool because I want it to be better. So I'm going to click right here. And just like before, I can move the anchors around. But not only that, I can also change how much of a curve I've got going on. And let's say I want to move this out further. And I can even take this drag bar and drag it closer to make it less of a curve or more a curve, whatever I want. Now I'm going to go ahead and just pull this a little bit further out just to make it look a little more pumpkin-like. And now that I'm done with that, I can pretty much just say that I'm finished with my pumpkin here. Now, of course, this is black, and pumpkins aren't black, at least not at first. Leave it on your porch too long, it will be. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color. So I'm going to double click here, and I'm going to choose a more pumpkinish color. Now, how I do that is I kind of drag here between the red and the yellow where the orange is, and I'm going to choose a nice orange to go with my pumpkin. There you go. Well, maybe not so yellow. There we go. Okay, I'm going to push OK. And I've got a pretty good version or beginning of a pumpkin. Now, it doesn't really look that much like a pumpkin yet, but I'm going to go back to my pen tool and I'm going to put little ridges. You know how pumpkins have these ridge lines that go kind of like ribs. And I'm going to click and I'm going to drag. But here's the deal. I'm not let go. I haven't let go yet. The thing is that if I let go and I come up here, that hand, because of the handle being there, it dragged it way out too far. So let me Alt Control Z and go back a couple of steps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this right here and I'm going to drag it to about there. But what I'm going to do now is push the Alt button. And when you push Alt, it allows you to move the handle so that it moves and you telling it how you want it to curve on the next anchor, but without disturbing any of this other stuff. So now I'm going to finish it off, and you can see it had a slight curve to the inside instead of going way out here. Now, what I'm going to do, though, I need to go back and choose, I need to change the color here, but because it's a rib on here, we need to change the color just a bit. I'm just going to darken it a bit. So I'm going to go a little bit lower here in the spectrum of color to where the value has a little more dark in it. And I'm going to make more of them. So I click to lay down an anchor, do another one, yank it out, hold Alt, and then move it back here so that it will make a nice little curve. And I might even play with a shadow here. And there, and now we're going to go the other direction. And maybe two more. This time I'm going to go on the outside. And one last one. All right, so there is the body of the little pumpkin that will be our jack-o'-lantern. Now it's time to make the stem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the stem, and let me zoom in so we can see what we're doing here. I'm going to start the stem like this. And I'm doing a lot of clicking, just making it look kind of jagged there. And then when I get back to where I started, I click and I've got my stem, but the stem is the wrong color. So I double click here in the pick a color part, and I'm going to go green with it, but I'm going to go dark green. All right, so that is the beginning of the pumpkin that will be our jack-o'-lantern. I'm going to do Control 0 here and zoom back out. And I'm just going to leave it like this. This is where we're going to stop. And after you get this far, what I want you to do is just chill, because part 2 will be coming up. All right. Thank you for being so good. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye.